Welcome back, everyone, to Confessions of a Loveaholic. I have a wonderful guest for you today. Her name is Lori Reising, and she has quite the bio. I'm super excited to be getting into the nitty-gritty of this because she's gonna wow you with all of her expertise. Lori Reising is a sought-after conscious thought leader and a non-physical star channel. She's going to be telling us more about that in a little bit. With a flair for delivering evolutionary truths and quantum healing with humor, vulnerability, and deep passion. She has been in the therapeutic practice since 2001, offering support and guidance in cellular recoding and embodied root transformation through her soul-hitting podcast, The Raw and Wild Hearts. Go check it out, subscribe. As well as a dynamic offer suite to meet wherever you are right now. As a star seed, transformational mentor, and an evolutionary astrologer, she is here to remind and reawaken humans into their sacred truth to magnetize the lives they came here to thrive from. Wow, Lori, there's so much to unpack in your bio. Welcome so much to our show.
Thank you so much, Emmy. I am really excited to be here. I'm loving the vibe that you are bringing to the table, and the energy is already lit. So I'm like, let's go.
I love it. We are in the magic, my lovely. So I have to ask, I am not an expert in the terminology of non-physical star channel. Please tell us what that is.
So basically, it's taking the brakes off that we learn in this physicality, in the 3D matrix, in what we see in front of us, and tapping into the quantum field. Have you heard of the quantum field before?
Absolutely. Work with the quantum field with my clients. The magic that makes everything happen.
Fantastic. So it's really just being so present to that divine connection of consciousness that goes beyond the physical form and being able to hear the messages and get that intuitive guidance, those innate navigation hits, and those messages that are coming through. And so, what I'm known as in the galactic realm is a finder. So, basically, my channel is so open and so clear that whoever's in my presence or in my containers, I actually find your guides and I magnetize them to me and I send messages of our innate language of light, energy, and frequency through me to you. And you reawaken and reactivate that innate language because we've become so reliant on our word language and on our mind control that we have not forgotten that star self that we are and the way that we communicated before we learned the language that we know. It's just, it needs to be reawakened. It needs to be stoked a little bit. And so that's what I do. And then when the receiver of those messages actually has epiphanies, enlightenments, ascension, a lot of times they'll actually have physical pain leave their body and they get those hits that, those gut hits, they get those and actually shift their life. And then they get the results in their life from there. And that gives them the confirmation of something that they already knew, but they didn't ever put their finger on, right? Because it's not what we see around us in the linear systems that we're learning. So, was that a good intro?
I love it. I love it. You're going to be a favorite on our show. I love talking about the quantum realm, spirituality, downloads, all that magic. It has absolutely changed my life. And that's how I operate in the world today. And in fact, today, my husband and I are actually traveling currently in Moab, Utah. And I walked outside literally for just 10 minutes. And the first thing I saw was this ginormous rock heart in the ground. Just Mother Nature laid it out for me. And I thought to myself, a decade ago, I would have absolutely just missed it. It would have just been a rock. But it was that wink, I call it, from the universe being like, hey, babe, you're on the right path. You are meant to see this. Like, just be here, enjoy, and breathe in this nature. Because we're so caught up with calendar and deadlines and all these different things. So it was that beautiful, like, what I call it, wink from the universe being like, this is where you're supposed to be right here, right now. And so I love that. I have many of those, but I want so you're just reminding me of that because that just happened like an hour ago. So I'm like, oh yeah, I love this.
Yeah, that's beautiful. The energies are so accelerated now. I mean, as we move into 2024, it is so lit. And it's going to be overwhelming for people that really aren't in that solid foundation of alignment and able to access the present moment. And that's going to be the superpower of all of us moving forward as these systems really come down that we're power over and we rebuild from that place of love, from heart centeredness, from, alignment and benevolence and abundance. Like, it's so exciting what's happening right now. I just shared in a couple of my containers today. I gave them this quick little zap where I was like, hey, heads up, the manifestation energy right now is huge. If you're not paying attention, you can miss it. So you've got to be available to receive it. If you're working in the energetic foundation right now, the physicality is going to show up. We're in all planets direct right now, and it is hot, like manifestations every day. If you're paying attention, that's the co-creation. That's so beautiful. It's so divine. And yeah, something definitely is going to come from that heart activation in the desert for you today.
I love it. And for those of you who are listening to this and watching this right now, it's important for you to recognize the timing of all of this. I don't have an exact date of when you're going to be listening to this, but as of this moment, we are recording it on February 8th, 2024. And for me, it is 5:12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So this is going to be important because as you're listening to this, it might be within the window that Lori is describing and might be outside of that window. Either way, we are on that wavelength. 2024 is powerful. So Lori, as someone is starting their journey and maybe not very familiar with this, can you tell us a little bit about what does it mean to have our own innate navigation system, and how can someone who maybe is unfamiliar to all of this work maybe start tapping into that, and what does that even really look like? Because I tell people, it's not just, the Google GPS is relatively new, but we have our own internal GPS.
Yeah, I mean, I can break it down super easy. Stop normalizing stress, period. Like, that's it. Our innate navigation system is quite simple, but we've really overcomplicated it. It's our nervous system, and we have been bypassing our nervous system for generations. So it's actually been handed down in epigenetics and through the DNA. And it's become so normalized in the stories that we hold in our cellular belief. And, that's what I'm really doing in the work is helping people to recode the cells. Because when we get to the root, the embodiment, that's where the transformation is. And we have historically been a culture that's band-aid medicine, that's reactionary in anything that we do. So it's already come to a point of no return, and we're reacting to it. There's always a return. I just want to caveat that. Like, there's always a return, right? Because we're so magical and we're so powerful. We came in as innate healers. We are wise. We are teachers. We are students. We are all of it. And when we start honoring the nervous system, and really learning how to work with it instead of normalizing working against it, we easily get new directions, new enlightenments, new physical manifestations in our life because we hadn't been available for them before because we had our blinders on. And we're creating more control, more stress, more tension, more constriction in our life until we basically blow, right? And then that's where the reaction comes in. So when you start working in the foundation of energy, coming back to our innate language, life gets a heck of a lot easier. It gets a whole lot more fun, and it becomes an amusement ride. Like, oh my gosh, every day when I'm like, ooh, I get to tap in, like, what's going to happen today? It's so exciting. And I get to follow that guidance. Like, that's the natural high that we have really conditioned ourselves out of. And we're coming back to it. The awakening that's happening right now is so juicy. It's so divine. I mean, aren't you feeling that where it comes in and it's like, it's an activation like none before. And it's so powerful that you can't wait to go on that ride. And you can't wait to experience the unknown because there's possibilities everywhere. Do you feel that way, Emmy?
Oh my goodness, yes, Lori. I'm like buzzing right now as I'm hearing you talk because I am my husband and I are on this journey right now of moving to a brand new location. And, a version of me 5 years ago, or actually even before I met him, any version of unknown was an immediate fear reaction, right? Before I started my healing journey with spirit and source and learning how the universe actually works in the quantum world. And now most people think we're crazy, and a lot of people don't even know what it is that we're up to right now. But for most of 2023, for 6 months, we were in Florida, and there was a pull there, and then there was a pull out, and it was a very clear like pull here. And it's very easy for me to be able to trace why we needed to be there. And I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, like all of these things are connecting right now. And as of the last 3 months, the last 4 months actually, we've been on this nomadic journey and literally surrendering to where the universe tells us to go next. Moab right now this week was completely unplanned 3 days ago. Okay, so that level of surrender and just trusting of the universe is going to tell us where to go next. The universe is going to tell us where, like, and having zero doubt and zero fear about it. Does my nervous system go into random little mini panics every once in a while? Yeah, but considering that it's been like two in the last 6 months, it's really not that bad. Not because I used to live in panic. That was my default, was chaos. To live in that level of fear. So to be able to share and co-create with the universe and have fun on this amusement ride, oh man, it is like that's what life is about.
Yeah, beautiful, Emmy. Yay for you. I'm so excited. And, even when that resistance comes in, it's an opportunity. So when you really look at that as an opportunity for growth instead of a fear of the resistance, you're always going to be led somewhere bigger, somewhere bolder, right? It's always more information on where to go and how high you can go. And the thing is, we have been so sold in being finite. We've also been sold in this culture of just self-sacrifice, right? Like we learned in our educational system how to become workers, not how to become creators. And to be a worker, you don't change anything, you don't evolve, you don't grow. And to be a creator, evolution is our birthright. Like that is literally why we came onto this planet, is to grow and become a new iteration of ourselves. And that's where the mindset stuff comes in, because when we're holding on to past stories, we're holding ourselves and other people in past versions that's no longer actually who we are and how we're vibrating. And so we're holding ourselves back. We're creating those limitations for ourselves. We're the only one. When anyone doesn't go forward with something in their life and doesn't start creating, it's nobody else, it's nothing else, it's not even a circumstance that you have, it's a story that's running that's holding you in that limitation. And so this is like power when we get into the depth of changing those stories and the majesty of being an evolutionary soul. Ooh, it is so yummy. It is the best ride, right? Like if I look at my last 3 years, I'm like, dang, it is wild where I've went. And I'm absolutely in the perfect place. Like my heart is so full and I am feeling and understanding exactly why I'm here, right? And it's so much bigger than I even thought the reason was that was bringing me here. And I'm really stoked to see and feel where your journey leads you as well. Especially, it sounds like the power of two of you together in that space of trust. Like, hell yes, if I can say that.
Hell yes, indeed. And you're right. I really started this journey in working with source in the universe and the co-creation before I met my partner. And as now Matt and I are on this journey together, he started learning more about trusting the universe and source and the law of attraction and manifesting. So now I get to we are both buzzing in the magic of making this happen because we trust, we know, and this is the first time that he's ever been put out of his comfort zone, like in a major way. And to see him literally in the last 2 days, it's actually really funny to see him in this state because He's like this manly man, you know, he's got a full beard. He's like a full-on Viking, right? And he's coming into to our Airbnb, and he's like jumping up and down like a little kid, like having a full-on like excitement fest of what he's creating. And had never thought that this was possible, but realizing that we are so powerful together, and how we magnetize and how we radiate into the world, because we're both surrendering to the magic. And that level of surrender makes him want to lead more and take more initiative. So this is what it means to co-create with the universe, as opposed to, you were talking about earlier about having your full rights in what I call sovereign autonomous nation, right? Of we are our own majesty. And yes, things happen in our life and things have been passed down, but there comes a point where we have to take radical responsibility for how we're showing up in the world. And that radical responsibility, it's what allows us to truly magnetize any and all of our desires, including soulmate love. And our mindset is a huge part of that, right, Lori? Lori, you brought this up earlier, but I want to go deeper in this because it's so powerful. Can you tell us and the audience about how is it that our mindset is our reality?
Well, I want to touch on something real quick because that is so
Yes.
powerful what you just went through. Yes, yes, yes. And what we have to remember actually is that we came here to experience pain. We actually came here to go through contrast. We came here to go through duality. And we've been sold this, through our sensationalism culture, we've been sold this idea that if you buy something, it's going to take the pain away. If you do something specific, it's going to take all of it away and life is going to be easy. Guess what, y'all? That is not the human gig. If that was the gig for us, we actually would all be non-physical consciousness.
That's
Like
so true.
that's the thing. That's what separates us. It's like having this body, having this physical world, this matrix, and this experience. So when you can really own the power of duality, of contrast, of even pain that comes into your world, experiences, traumas, even. I know that's a big word, but the reality is it's why we have emotion. Emotion is to emote what happens. And we have been suppressing the emotion within these little magical beings and bodies that we have. This is our highest and best technology. And so when you really start to ride the wave of that power and let yourself truly feel, instead of that normalization of suppression of the emotion, which actually imprints it into the cells, and you let it move through you as you experience the contrast and duality of your life, you get the immediate ascension, you get the immediate growth. But we have normalized staying in that holding pattern of like, only letting the emotion come up so far and then pushing it down because we have to have our lives. We're in survival energy. We've got all these appointments. We're in hustle culture because that's how this culture or the resources around us has been created. And that's what we're disrupting, right? Where we really start to flow with our cycles and seasons. And when we do that, when things are aligned and the energies are co-creating with us, like there's no stopping us. That's when miracles occur. And when we're meant to come in and review and reflect and bring up whatever we've been suppressing and really allow ourselves that cocoon, like winter time, right? We allow ourselves to go through that. Then we have so much more space for the incoming light, the plasmic light that integrates into our cells and into our soul. And then we start vibrating at that level. And as we know, Emmy, that's where manifestation comes in. It comes in from the frequency that we're emanating. So I want to get to the mindset, but I want to let you talk real quick because that was a lot.
No, I love that. And I love that we're just like bouncing off each other, because this is we can go for hours and hours, obviously. Because that's just you're right. It's the frequency, right? And I really, after the mindset stuff, we're gonna be bouncing around here. I love it. I want to hear more around like the recoding and how it is that you work with your clients, because one of my favorite modalities is magnetic mind recodes, and I got certified in this a couple of years ago. And this is about going into the quantum realm in the super conscious field with my client and being able to help find what are the areas, where are the belief systems that were created at the time that served them that no longer serve them, right? So we go in and remove the resistance, whether it was a previous life or whether it was something that got passed down in generations, and observe, keep the wisdom, remove the pain, and then move forward so they can actually gain the desire. And this is about changing their cellular memories and adapting, creating that new identity, right? So this version of ourselves, and this is part where I help my clients, is like, it's okay for you to grieve the version of yourself that is now dying, because she is dying and we are up leveling and tapping into a whole new world. And that means that as our cells die and as part of this version of this body and our software is upgrading, things need to be passed down and there needs to be a physical and emotional purging. And that is also part of the process, right? Because you were talking about the seasons, like us going and allowing, not just allowing, but one of the things that I look forward to is because I can now plan for the purging, and now I can not only allow it and be and like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, but if it does happen outside of the time that I was going to happen, is I encourage it and I'm in it, and I let myself breathe through it. And there's no longer any judgment like there was over definitely a decade version of me. There was a lot of judgment because I couldn't handle my emotions or whatever that was. But now, because I know it's a part of the process as opposed to something that's stopping the process, it completely changes the dynamics.
Absolutely. And let's just be real here. Grief is actually the most transcendent state that we have. And I know this very well. My daughter was stillborn. The rest of my children grew wings as well. So I'm very familiar with grief. And grief touches that place of ascension that it removes all the layers of conditioning in a moment. There's such a rawness, there's such an intimacy and vulnerability in it that when you can access like even the power of grief, then it becomes the best co-creator that you have, because it moves you so deep into that ascension and that accelerated space for yourself, and it allows us to actually even find the celebration in death. And when we really become, I love that you said your husband's a Viking, because when we become a culture that celebrates death, we live fully, we live out loud. We no longer fear in the living because we know how transcendent and how important actually death is. There's no actual death. There's only life and life. It's just a different form because energy never ends. It only shifts, right? And I mentioned the Vikings because of Valhalla. You know, they were so successful as such a small people because they regarded Valhalla as the divine, as so much bigger than this experience in this life. And you know, I'm not getting into everything about the Vikings, but just that part of it, to see how they just lived so fully because they knew that they would meet up again. They knew that they would be this conscious form in a different way. It's just so beautiful. So, yeah, for me, I definitely, you know, we go there in through the soul, the energy, the body, and the mind. So I'm really all about that holistic transformation, because the reality is in our cells, like I said, there's emotional cellular memory. And what happens is when we have a trauma or an experience or a wound, anything that happens that creates that quick impact of emotion, and then we suppress it, our fascia actually clamps down over our cells because it's trying to help itself. It's trying to help the body, but because we normalize states of stress, it actually becomes a hindrance to us, because then it imprints that experience. And this goes through our lineage, right? The experiences of our lineage, we carry them forward in the DNA if they haven't been cleared, if they haven't been disrupted. And that's what we're doing right now. It's such deep disruption that's happening in this beautiful way. So that's where when I work in my containers, I work in every space. Like we look at the mind, we look at the stories, we get into the energy, we get into the soul and the ascension, right? Really going into the higher dimensions. But the reality is we are heaven on earth. We're not supposed to just be in the higher dimensions. Like we're bringing that here and actualizing that into this experience. You know, that's what's spreading through this consciousness revolution and this light acceleration on the planet. And so, you know, if I was going to break it down, a lot of times when I'm working online, I'm going to do a lot of EFT and a lot of guided activations, a lot. I'll go astral travel, I'll do a lot of breath work and energy work. But when you get to be one-on-one with me in my retreats, ooh, that's where we go into something that's called John Barnes myofascial release. And that's where we actually move into the unwinding of the body, because the body will unwind trauma from the cells on its own when we turn the brakes and the control of the mind off. This is where I've levitated before. So when I was a kid as a starseed, I knew that we could levitate. I would like look around church and I'm like, what is going on? Why is it all these guys that are doing this? Like, we're here to do it. I knew of our divinity. And I actually moved into levitation in one of my body unwindings in these containers, because it's so incredible when you can really release the fear frequency that has been programmed into us, and you get out of that control mind and you just fully allow this being, this vessel, to do the healing work it was made to do. Ooh, it is exquisite. It is the biggest natural high that you can ever experience. And for so many reasons, we've been disassociated from that power, because when you're in that state, nobody can have power over you. Nothing can control you. Nothing can sway you, right? The biggest thing that keeps us in place and from growing and evolving and being creators is fear. And, our pineal gland, when you have a strong pineal gland, you cannot be manipulated by fear or swayed by emotional manipulation. So, this is so important. And, something that you said, Emmy, I wanted to share when you said, a couple times that resistance came back in. And I know you already have this, but I just want to say this for the greater whole is this is why you have to have a daily practice in place. Even when you can't access that state of enlightenment or that state of alignment, you still show up, you still move the energy, you still connect into your higher guidance, you still do the manifestation work, the foundational work. And then when it's ready to break, when it's ready to evolve and become the lesson and learning, you quantum jump. That's where we move timelines. That's where we collapse time. So do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely, with all of it. And, an hour ago when I told you that I went out with nature, I realized that part of a critical point for me in my journey with absolutely falling in love with myself in my life, and all of the things that come with being human and being non-physical, and all of the energies, and on the journey to attracting soulmate love, was the power of being friends with solitude.
Mhm.
Solitude became my best friend. And for my entire life, up until I would say when I was 27, I feared so much being alone because I didn't want to hear these thoughts going on in there. They were mean, they were evil. But it wasn't until I had a new relationship with myself. And to your point around, it wasn't until I was able to make friends and become best friends with solitude that I started being able to jump realms and jump and start playing around with parallel timelines and really truly having so much fun in the here and the now, knowing and having eager anticipation for my desire to come in, and my whatever I was manifesting, and releasing the impatience. I always tell people I'm such an impatient person, and I have now reframed and really channeled that impatience energy. I learned this from Abraham Hicks, to eager anticipation energy, just the knowing that it's coming and trusting in the universe's timing. I'd love to hear your insights on that.
Well, absolutely. The thing with solitude is that's how you hear your innate navigation system. That's how you hear the guidance. That's how you hear those hits. So when I'm starting to teach people their psychic strength and we're doing exercises, the thing is, you've got to learn and discern the overactive control mind and the intuitive hits and guidance. And once you start getting the confirmation, when you follow the intuitive hits, even when it doesn't line up with your to-do list and everything that you're expecting and you think that needs to happen, but you follow it, and you can only hear it in the present moment. So you follow it in that present moment, which is where solitude takes you. And then something big comes in from that, some manifestation, something that never would have happened on that trajectory that you were trying to manipulate and control and squeeze the energy on. And so, what else happens in solitude, Emmy, is self love. And the thing is, your greatest superpower in this world is self love, because when you have that deep well of love in your soul for this body, this choice to take this on, to move through the experiences that only you are going to have, nobody else will ever have them, then you'll never hold yourself back again. That's it. That's the change of that mindset right there. Because that's the thing that holds us back, is we start to argue for our own limitations because we don't want to show up for ourselves in this whole experience. And yeah, when you find and access that point of power in everything that has come into your life, and you find the innate healer that you really are, ooh, you are unstoppable. Unstoppable. Nothing that happens in your external world will ever dictate how you show up for yourself. You will hold the identity, the timeline, the evolution that's absolutely meant to come into your experience, and you will keep going. You know how expansive we are. Something that I've been saying a lot lately that came to me, I don't know at what point it was, but I feel like it's so important because when you can start to tap into that quantum realm, the multi dimensions, the higher dimensions, and you remember how much bigger we are than the changes taking place, oh, then you start to embrace the changes. It's so exquisite. And not only do you embrace the changes, but you get taken care of. What you need comes through. But that trust is something that has been basically ripped out of us for so many generations through a very violent and traumatic past of humans. And like, that's where we say, this is it. We become the generation that is the disruptor. We're the bridge generation, right? We're the bridge generation to the age of Aquarius. So this is the intense work. We're the ones that said yes to the disruptive work. And generations from now, they are all going to be levitating. Like, they are all going to be in this golden light. It's going to be so incredible. And we get to come back and check it out, right? Like, in a different form. It's going to be amazing. But that's where it's like, this is big stuff. This is not for the faint of heart. I mean, y'all can feel it, right?
Oh my God, Lori. Yes. So tell us more about, I personally have not levitated in my conscious realm. I have memories and dreams of me like being vaulting, like walking as if I was taking every step was like 20-30 feet in the air. And I remember having these dreams, and I remember waking up and being so disappointed that this wasn't true. But I know that it was part of like my healing journey, and I know it was this deep-seated like knowing that that's something that I could do, and I can still manipulate a little bit more in my dream state, in my quantum realm. But I want to know more about this levitation that you're talking about, and how that happens at like what is actually happening at these retreats that you run. And can you give us some examples of like when people are showing up, like what types of pain are they in? Emotional pain, physical pain? And what happens when we do that fascia release? And for those of you listening who don't know what fascia is, can you explain the actual terminology? Because I know it's part of the muscle. I don't know exactly where it is on the physical body. So if you can help the audience understand, because I think that part is so critical, because what we're discussing here is, yes, for those of you who are new potentially to the concept of source and the quantum realm and levitating and astral projections and sort of the spirituality concepts that we're bringing up, we want you to know that everything that we're discussing is grounded in the 3D realm. Okay, so this is not like you have to live in a state of like you're ignoring what's happening as a human being. No, 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 no. This is where we integrate all of this magic so that you're living in your human experience, that you are removing or mitigating the pain. So when you recognize and something happens that you didn't think you wanted, or what we call contrast, you realize that it's happening for you. So I went off and rambled into a tangent there, but the main question was around the levitation and the magic that happens at your retreats. Oh, and I just saw a little orb come by on our screen. So, well, yeah, awesome. I love that.
Well, I love that you brought that in about dreams, right? Especially when we start to have lucid dreams. That's like so exciting, and it is hard to come back, right? Because that's the natural state of us, is that state of alignment and that state of flow and softness and just like being in I don't even know how to explain it because it's like you can fly, right? It's that feeling of being able to fly. And I remember when I first woke up and I was speaking light language, as soon as my conscious mind came in and I started thinking about it, it went away. And I was like, no, 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 no. Because it felt so good. Like my mouth was going so fast and my tongue was doing things that it's never done before, but it felt so natural and it felt so easy. It wasn't something I had to learn. So the thing with multidimensional living in this reality is we unlearn all of the junk that has been put on us in the mindsets and the experiences and the programs and the resistance, all of that that we've been talking about. And the more that you do that, the more you basically what I call it is take the brakes off. And my mentor, John Barnes, that's what he calls it as well. And when you take the brakes off and you actually allow this mechanism or this organism, this body to do its job, which its job is to unwind traumas from it, to go back into a state of homeostasis, it really just it moves you. So so the basically the precursor is getting to this point where you actually can rest your mind, because we get so used to controlling our body. Everything about our body we control. We control our emotions, we control our body, we give our power away. Somebody else is going to heal us and do something for us. So we don't ever actually I don't want to say learn, but we don't ever feel that connection and that guidance of the body. We only feel the guidance of the mind as we continue to learn as children who become adults, right? And so fascia is a three-dimensional viscous substance in our body. So there's like it conducts energy. It has like a piezoelectric effect, and it's everywhere. So it basically surrounds our muscles, our bones, our tendons, our veins, our organs. It's around everything. So if you want to know more about this magical substance, which is literally like it's our miraculous it's like what I always say is our body is the conduit to higher consciousness. And once we really start revering this body, this temple, in the way that it's meant to be revered, and we care for it in that way, it actually creates that connection and it actually moves us into immediate states of healing, which does that decreases us from going into the states of dis-ease, disassociation, right? From the imprints of emotions, but also from the tension and the repetitive patterns and everything that we keep taking on over and over and over, and we keep solidifying, right, in our control lives and minds. And so when you start to allow the body to feel true safety and you can access that present moment where you take the brakes off and you move beyond the mind, right? Meditation is non-resistant thought. When you can really get fully present in that moment, you can basically catch the wave of your body when your body wants to start unwinding itself, and you become the co-creator of that. So what we've been talking about, Emmy, is like how exciting it is when you get downloads or epiphanies and you co-create with that. Well, this is the download or the epiphany of the body. And it's the natural process of unwinding itself. And it basically, when you say yes to it, this is where I ended up levitating, because my body started spinning so fast that I actually levitated off the ground, because there was no there was no mind stopping it. There was no fear. So when we decrease fear frequency, not only can we levitate the body in that way as the body unwinds itself, we also connect as a channel. We actually hear the non-physical life around us, like Abraham Hicks, because non-physical life or consciousness does not vibrate in fear frequency. And for so many generations, that's all that we've been putting into the field. And they're like, no, thank you. Like, that's not my vibe. I don't magnetize to that. So when you really start mastering this state of abundance consciousness is what it really comes down to, that belief in how big this is and how much more there is in life and like all of your purpose and why you're here. That's when they magnetize. That's when you start connecting beyond form, because that's going to be basically the fuel to that. So did I answer your question about levitation or about, moving into the unwinding of the body?
Yes, no, I love that. And I see in I didn't know all of that around fascia. When I the little that I knew about fascia, I literally thought it was just sort of like a layer in between our muscle and our skin. So you saying that it's around every single one of our organs too, and all of it like that is mind blowing to me because I didn't know. I knew the body in and of itself was a conduit for source and the connection, but knowing that there's uh that not extra level, but like knowing that is the part that's the conduit is fascinating to me. And it makes sense what you're describing around the fear. And for me, like that's the constant thing of recognizing I for me, there has to be that level of I can't go straight from fear to abundance. I go from fear to then I have to go into gratitude, the state of gratitude, and then from gratitude I can jump to abundance. Because it's still I don't know if there's a specific layer or level we're supposed to get to, but I do know that um I as part of my journey, especially into soulmate love, it was the gratitude of recognizing what I already had and what was coming my way, and recognizing that there was this infinite wisdom that I could access, but I didn't have full visibility into that. I had to trust that this infinite wisdom was moving things around like juggle pieces and playing chess on my behalf in order to make things happen. And you discussing how levitation works, that just sounds so cool to me. It's just like, wow, so fascinating because I know I personally haven't done that yet, but I haven't come to your retreats yet. So maybe that's one of the things that gets to happen next. So I'm excited to learn more about that.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't know if I said this, but watch The Secret Life of Fascia. Like,
Ooh, where can we find that? I've
I'm
never heard.
sh I feel like it's probably on Netflix.
Okay, I'm gonna look for it.
If you
Secret Life
need
of Fascia. Okay.
Yeah, if you have to rent it, because
Okay.
this you'll really understand the magic of the substance that's in the body that is our connection to like all that was, all that is, all that will ever be. Like, I am here to
Wow.
reawaken the ancient encoded knowledge that's actually in your cells. And so that's like the direct hit to that is when you start to unwind your body and the fascia actually opens and it becomes a deeper conduit in that space of flow. That's when you remember all of the wisdom, like the evolutionary truth, the
Wow.
quantum field. And that's when you make those connections here on earth, right? And the thing is, as you're talking about soulmate love, we're always looking at the outcome, right? Again, the expectation of like, once I get here, then everything is going to be fine. But when you start
Right.
living in the journey and start really being alive in the energy of everything that's happening for you and from you, right? Then that's when the outcome actually no longer matters because you get so much more. And that's when the abundance comes in. It's the abundance, it's the holistic wealth consciousness that comes in. And with that state of trust, whatever it was that you were trying to get to, whether it's like, I need that partner to make my life better, or I need to make this amount of money to make my life better, that's never even part of the equation. Like it grows, everything in your life grows, but we've got to stop playing these stories out that we get sold right on social media or whatever it is when we just see the outcome of something but we don't understand the journey. And when you really stand in the power of this entire human experience is the journey, it's never an outcome that you're getting to. Ooh, again, unstoppable. Like that's truly the space right there. And that's when the frequency raises and then you get that soul love that came to you, right? Because you opened yourself up and you were ready at that space. So when we really let ourselves unfold into being ready, then it just keeps evolving, it keeps growing, and it keeps getting better and better and richer and wiser. I love it so much. Yeah, my retreats, I mean, they're they really are. If you want to have an accelerated ascension experience, like this is off the spiritual hook, like for sure.
Oh my goodness, Lori. So for everyone listening, and if you're as mind blown as I am right now, so first, thank you, Lori, for the movie you said, watch The Secret Life of Fascia. I'm going to go find it. Y'all go find it. So how can we find out, and how can we sign up for your retreats?
So, my retreat is next week. It's in Mexico, so I'm pretty sure that one's closed. And the next one will be coming after that. I tend to go through one retreat and then I go with the energy. Again, I flow with the energy and really where it's taking me. So I don't even know where the next one will be, but it's coming. So things get so elevated and activated when I come together in these beautiful circles that I just trust that right afterwards, I get the message of where to go from there. I have a feeling that I'll probably get 2 retreats on the books coming up in this next year. And yeah, I mean, just jump on my email list, like stay in my communities. If this is exciting to you, like this is not for everyone. I will say that these retreats are for the people that are ready. They are ready to move the needle in their ascension. They're ready to be in like deep spaces of light language and, non-physical guides. They're ready to have miracles show up in their life within a week because you come back and you have to integrate that into your physical reality. And I'm a great support. I definitely stay there for you, but that's where I'm going to like give that little disclaimer that people know when they're ready to work with me, they have a nervous fear, but they know they're ready to up level. They know that they're ready for life to change and they're ready to get out of this story and this stuck pattern that has been showing up too much in their life, right?
I love that, Lori. Yes. And very important disclaimer for those of you who listen to this and be like, oh my God, I want it all. Tell me everything. I want more. We welcome to continue on this journey. And for those of you who are like, I have no idea what you two just talked about, and this scares the bejesus out of me, that's totally okay too. You may be at a different point in your journey, like I was, and it might also never be part of journey in that, not part of your journey, and that's okay too. It's important for you to find the mentors and the guides that you resonate with, just like we did. So we find people on our frequency, and that's why it's important for anything and everything to be in alignment with you, is how you manifest things. Lori, thank you so much. What is the best either Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok or website for people to find you?
Sure. And also, if you're here, there's a reason that you're here. Like there's a seed that's getting planted, even if a lot of it was like beyond what feels right or resonant for you right now. Even if it brings up a trigger for you or something comes up for you, that's an opportunity to explore and move into soul growth in some way. So really trusting that you show up in your life in the perfect way and letting yourself move through whatever's coming up for you and finding, like Emmy said, finding the right mentor, the right guide, the right support. So thank you so much, Emmy. I so appreciate this time together. Like we have been going, like this has been an amazing evening. I'm the Raw and Wild Hearts everywhere. My podcast is the Raw and Wild Hearts. My website is the rawandwildhearts.com. That's my Instagram, the Raw and Wild Hearts. Sorry, the Raw and Wild Hearts. And I go through different levels because I am so grounded in this physical reality as a star seed and channeler. I help people go from A to B to C. So like the retreats are like way up there. Like that's when you're ready to move in that space. But everything else that I do, like I have an option for wherever you might be if that's something that's resonating with you. And Emmy, I'm sure that that's how you work as well.
Correct. Yes, not everyone is ready for the full shebang and
Yeah.
getting us like full on attention,
Yeah.
right? So I have programs where people can come in and sort of dip their toe in the water, I call it,
Yeah.
and they can sort of like feel into the space at their own pace. And if and when they're ready to move into what I call the fast track VIP program, where I'm a part of their life, holding their hand every single day, basically, we go deep into this work. But again, it is not for the faint of heart. But for those of you who are feeling called to this and you're like, oh my God, I need to know more and I want to know more, I really, really recommend that you go find Lori, Raw and Wild Hearts everywhere. She's going to have some retreats coming up soon. So make sure you get on her newsletter, check out Instagram, check her out on everything, because if you had even an inkling of curiosity today from what you heard, I guarantee you your life will absolutely change if you get into her world and her vortex.
Aw, thank you so much, Emmy. Just to let everybody know, it's the Raw and Wild Hearts. If you just put Raw and Wild Hearts, you might not find me.
Okay, perfect. Good. The Raw and Wild Heart. Very important.
Yeah. And I have a mentorship journey opening up as well. Like I work with people one-on-one in the same way that Emmy does. I feel like we all have freebies to dip your toe in, and then it's like, oh, open it up a little more, a little more. Where am I ready to go now? Right. And that becomes that amusement ride as well. So Emmy, this has just been such a blast. Thank you so much for your energy and what you're doing in the world. Like you are really making a difference, and you're making a change. I feel your light and I honor you. So thank you so much.
I feel you and honor you. Thank you so much, Lori, for being on our show and for giving us such a mind-blowing episode, because I'm like so excited to go find the secret life of fascia. And there, you just gave us so much to be able to dig in deeper. And I appreciate you and your energy and your guidance and your wisdom, and for being so transparent and honest and not holding back and sharing your truth, because more of us healers and truth tellers need to be coming out full front and center, and we are doing that. And I'm so proud of us. I'm so grateful for you, and I look forward for us continue our journey together.